Brand new purple light. Brand new purple light. Brand new purple light. Friends. Facts. Brand new purple light. Friends. Red and blue. Purple light. Friends. Facts. You can get to know the ledger. Sacrilegious Sunday to Melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger. My love, just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was till the land focused on the ego. Then I opened my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we're stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah, we gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts, we in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts, peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light. To the family. Peace, love and light. To the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Peace to you and yours. Peace to you and yours. Welcome to Sacrilegious Sundays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. And that song that you just heard is the Facts remix from the 44 Tops. All right. Clap it up for the 44 Tops. You dig? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. He said perfect timing. All right. That's what's up. That's what's up. That means a lot. Because to be honest with you, I literally was going to go live earlier today, like in the afternoon. But I don't know. Spirit was like, nah, just hold on to the night, man. Just hold on to the night. It's different at night. So here we are. All right. Welcome everyone to Sacrilegious Sundays. We are in the building. Peace, love, and light. You dig? Hopefully everybody had a beautiful, strong end. And we are going to wrap up the strong end. Finish it off on this good Sunday, you know what I'm saying, in perfect KTL style. All right, shout out to all of my KTLians in the building. Let's go ahead and do the roll call. Let's go ahead and do the roll call. See who is in the building. Bay Area. Shout out to the Bay Area. Salute. All right. Brat. Shout out to Connecticut in the building. CT. You already know what it is. Seminole, Florida. Land of the hidden mounds, a.k.a. land of the flowers. You dig? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the family. I got this playing on Twitch. I'm building up my Twitch page. So shout out to the family over there on Twitch. We broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch simultaneously. I'm even reading the contract somebody sent me. They want me to get into streaming and whatnot. So I'm looking over this contract. And shout out to the Twitch family. Portland in the building. All right. Milwaukee in the building. And for all of my Twitch family, I believe it's Red Pillar 44. That's my handle over there. Yes, Red Pillar, the number 44. All right. So shout out to y'all. Virginia in the building. Phoenix in the building. You dig? Southeast Asia, Palm Beach, Florida, Columbus, Ohio, Brunswick, Georgia, DMV. How is everybody strong in for this moon? Was the moon mooning for you? Was this Aries moon mooning for y'all? Was y'all able to put in your work and whatnot for this strong in St. Louis in the building? We have the Lenape Nation, Delaware. All right. Oh, Crypto Egregor, you say you on Twitch too? All right, that's what's up. Yeah, shout out to the Twitch family. Yeah, we'll talk about the Twitch moves a little bit later and whatnot. Melbourne, Australia in the building. All right. All right. Get the tubies. Yo, I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass. Let's talk about that. Cleveland in the building. Cause I need the Tubi script. That sounds like something right up my alley because we're going into like this we're at the end of this quarter going into 2025, and just making regular content, that's not enough. It's Tubi time. It's actually film time. It's stories to be told. You feel me? It's definitely stories to be told. I was just thinking about that today. Montreal in the building, North Carolina in the building. Where is Blue Pillar? Blue Pillar is in his skin. He's good. He's been working. He's been on his gym odyssey. You know what I mean? Mr. Universe. But he's good money. Moon glowing. All right. The moon glowing where you okay. Yeah, the moon glowing in Atlanta too. The moon has been glowing for the past few days. Michigan in the building. We got Akron, Ohio. Nashville, Tennessee. All right. Jersey in the building. Okay. Just subscribe to the Twitch channel. All right. All right. Yeah. We're gonna run up them Twitches and whatnot. I don't want to speak too much on things that are not being, that went before the paint dries or the ink dries on some paperwork. But similar to what DJ Academics is doing, where he's utilizing Twitch to give information and to basically feed news to his network on a daily basis. That's the conversation that I'm having right now about this Twitch thing. So I'll let everybody know how that goes. Houston in the building, Arizona in the building, Bridgeport in the building. You dig? Yeah, Blueby in the gym for real. On a early rise. St. Petersburg in the building, Tampa in the building, Cleveland in the building, Minneapolis, Chicago in the building. All right. Pinecrest in the building. How do you get on Twitch? You just have to go sign up. You sign up for free, You could go to Twitch and just make an account. Shout out to Lafayette. Shout out to Nebraska. Yeah, so basically the families in the building. Look at all of these Louisianas. Louisiana's deep. We got Lafayette. We got Gibson. You know what I'm saying? Then we got a whole nother lot. All of these Louisiana people right here. And I need y'all to link up. Y'all all came in like a 777. If we was in a goddamn casino, we would have hit a lick. Look at all of y'all coming in. Bing, bing. So people in the chat, and I have a respectful chat. The KT aliens, yeah, we need to put an event together, something where people could really start networking. Because we do the shout outs, and there's people from the same city in the building. We need to focus more on community building and networking. By a show of hands, how many people would be up for a Know the Ledger Discord, a Discord channel where people could just get together, because on Discord you could have video, you could have audio, you know what I mean? It's really good for membership and what we call world building. This YouTube shit is great, but it doesn't have an apparatus to where we can build a community. And what we need these days, especially going into the next 4 years, we need to focus more on community. I don't have, I don't get nothing out of just having a fly by night audience or a transient type of audience. People just come and go. That's not the goal of mine, especially after they took the last channel. The goal of this channel is to build it up to be better than the last channel and to bring people together and to do more of a community based, network based approach. You know what I mean? Where we're not just doing videos, but we're getting up, we're meeting up, we're linking up, we're doing shit on in IRL, in the real world, in real life, pardon me. Marketplaces, workshops, shit like that. Cause that's what's really important. That's what's really important. Similar to when the meeting of the gathering of the masters took place. That's the best example that I could use. Or when we climbed Stone Mountain and it was hundreds of us. That's another example of what I'm saying. Um, Most recently, the Double Dutch Day in the West End and whatnot. That's important. That's important. All of this shit is great and everything. But to me, from my personal experience, it's when the people get up in real life, when they link up in real life, that's when it becomes real. Until then, it's entertainment. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But, real shit is going down. You know what I'm talking about? And these are real people that I'm speaking to that are in the audience because I meet y'all in real life. These are real people doing real things about some real, you know what I mean? And they got real motion. So I'm definitely, especially now that the weather's changing, had to throw the heat on the other guy the other night. I had to throw the goddamn heat on. I'm in Atlanta and nigga had to activate the heat. The weather is changing. People are becoming more indoors during these seasons coming up into winter. So the Discord makes sense. Summertime is kind of hard to even function with an online community. But yeah, we definitely can benefit from that moving forward. So I keep everybody updated. I can't do it by myself. I cannot do it by myself. I'm trying to figure out time as I'm going along. This new time paradigm that we're in, this shit it's gonna take a little bit of figuring out because we're not dealing with the ordinary. We don't have the same 24 hours in a day. We're not dealing with the same 24 hours. This is the quantum quickening. You know what I'm talking about? This is the quantum quickening. So we're gonna need some mods. We're gonna need some people who could work with us if we activate the Discord, some administrators and things of that nature. So like I said, I keep y'all updated to those moves. Before I forget, our sponsor for today's show is our upcoming workshop that we have, a masterclass that we have with Q Reeves next Saturday. Today's the 20th. So 6 days from now at 8 p.m. on Zoom only. This is for my Patreons, and this is also for my ticket holders, my KT aliens, everybody that's out there who want to take this information to another level. Tap in this Saturday with me and a good brother Q Reeves, a masterclass on spiritual expansion, and it's entitled Unveiling the Veil. All right. It is entitled Unveiling the Veil. And you will hear from the good brother leading up to Saturday, either on Melanin Monday or Third Eye Thursdays. We'll be doing a special show and whatnot. Is the last Discord going? Is it gone? No, it's still there. The last Discord for the Netaverse. I think we have about 3,500 members on that. It's still in it's just been parked up, you know what I mean? It's just been parked up. So if I have some dedicated administrators or some mods in the building, let me change this ticker tape and put my email right here. The Mart 125th at Gmail. If you could see it right there on a red ticker, send me your information and we could build. You want to put a team of writers together for the YouTube movie, A Think Tank of Blurs. Yes, please do. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Where are you located in Atlanta? Are you located in Atlanta? Because that would even make things go faster. But I promise you, just based off of how I'm looking at the market right now, content is not only king, content is not only king, but content is the best thing that you could probably be focusing on. Not everyone, but creating content, right? Creating content which will live forever in some regards, right? This content can become classics, right? Like what Ice Cube did when they put together the Friday series. This content could spawn a series or a franchise. This content could make you millions of dollars. This content could launch the careers of maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, 6 talents. You never know. You never know. This is definitely something that I'm highly what's the word? Just positive, optimistic about, you know. But the writing, that's where it comes in. So when you said you want to gather a group of blurs, I'm like, yes, that's what's needed right now. I remember falling in love with the writing of Issa Rae back when she had a YouTube show called Awkward Black Girl. And I was like, yo, the writing is so, you know what I'm saying? I respected it. I appreciated it. Then I got put on to Donald Glover with the TV series Atlanta. And I fell in love with that writing style and the way that he wrote that shit. So writing is very important. I respect writing over everything in terms of that whole process. Like it could look so, but if the writing is tight and if the character development is on point, and if you know how to execute a story the right way, man, you got yourself a fan. You know what I mean? Like I'm rocking with it. That's where I come from. I come from that. With the movies that I was introduced to as a child, the writing was very intricate and heavy. My dad told me when Jaws came out, when they were able to put Jaws out, and that shit was a blockbuster, and it was about a shark that you didn't even see, right? Because think about it, in the movie Jaws, you don't even see the shark like that. It's just sheer, you're just going off of the fear of it. But that kind of spawned these Hollywood blockbusters where they were just going for the glitz and the glamour versus the heavy pen, like say a Godfather movie, the Godfather trilogy, especially the first one and the second one, that was heavy on the pen. You know what I mean? They wrote the shit out of that. So yeah, bring that back. Okay, so your degrees are in creative writing and editing. Excellent. Yeah, man. I think a lot of opportunities were missed in the past 10 years over the fact that the creatives didn't really take full advantage of all of the all of the content that could have been created. I have to give kudos to the online comedians, the Drewskis of the world, the country Waynes of the world. You know what I'm saying? All of these, Mr. Commodore, the people that created web-centric content, especially in the comedy realm, even though some of them are funny and more of them are silly. There's more of them that are silly than are funny. And that's not, back in the days, it was the opposite of that. It was more people that were funnier than they were silly. You know what I'm saying? But I'm biased because I come from like the Martin Lawrence Def Comedy Jam era. You got to be real funny to top shit like that. You know, you got to be real funny to top shit like that. And the dudes on the internet, they have not topped that type of Martin Lawrence, you know, Def Comedy Jam. And I'm talking about the whole Def Comedy Jam lineup. Like when Bernie Mac was coming out, even early DL Hewley, that nigga was funny. You know, just early BET or HBO Def Comedy Jam. And then Comic View was a little more, you know, it wasn't as raw. But Def Comedy Jam, my nigga, the fucking skits, the stand-ups that they was doing with Martin as the host. Nobody of this new generation is fucking with that at all, bro. You know what I'm saying? The 85 South, they funny as hell, but they're not fucking with the Wayans brothers and the Living Color skits. Nobody's doing skits like Living Color. They're not doing stand up. They're not even doing the whole. They're not killing the hosting job. Martin would kill Def Comedy off the host. He was roasting niggas in it. Remember, he roasted Flavor Flav. Just the hosting on Def Comedy Jam by Martin was a fucking movie. And then he was introducing you to new comedians that made your ribs hurt. Are you dumb? Do you remember that? So imagine if they had comedians like that right now doing this Instagram, TikTok, you know, web-centric type of shit with these skits. They would be killing shit. These niggas are silly. They're like goofy. They're like weighing this new generation, to be keep it a buck with you, and not Keenan Ivory Wayans. No, Marlon Wayans. That's the type of comedy that these niggas do. They're not even doing Cat Williams type of comedy from Friday. No, they're not doing that. They're doing the Wayans brothers comedy style. That's what these niggas, that's what a lot of them are doing. No disrespect at all. But zesty comedy, bromance comedy, that shit that Seth Rogen and all of them do, men humping on each other. You know, a lot of that stuff that some of these guys do, that comes from the Wayans brothers. That over exaggeration where it's tippy toeing into like exploitation type shit. Yeah, that where it's tippy toeing into coonery. It's a fine line on the coonery. That comes from the Wayans brothers. It's not no Chappelle Show shit. They're not doing the Chappelle Show level of comedy with their skits. I'm not hating on nobody. I'm just being very accurate and non-biased. These niggas have not given us a homie don't play that. Okay? They have not given us a homie don't play that. They haven't given us a handyman. They haven't given us any of those things. The nigga who remember he was locked up, Oswald. They're not giving us those type of characters. They're not giving us a Jim Carrey. You said, am I talking about Bernie Mac? Let's not even talk about Bernie Mac. None of the new comedians have the impact of a Bernie Mac. Yeah, and Living Color was all about the writing. So I'm saying all of that to show you that the pen game is very important. You can't freestyle this shit. You got T.I. doing comedy. This is how bad it's gotten. Let's just be clear. T.I. is doing comedy. Charleston White thinks that he could do fucking stand-up. It's bad, bro. Remember Robin Harris? Baby Kids? Remember Shucky Ducky? Remember Shucky Ducky? Huh? Robin Harris was a monster with it. Even with the white boys, they don't have they don't have Chris Farley. They're not producing they have Adam fucking Schultz, bro. Come on now. We woke up. You niggas, y'all want to talk about the Mandela effect? Corey Holcomb. Nobody's fucking with Jamie Foxx. There's no Jamie Foxx level of comedy right now, bro. They're silly. These are like They're jesters. They're like court jesters, but they're not giving us Richard Pryor type. They're not giving you early Chris Rock type of comedy. They're not even giving you what's my nigga Hustle Man. What? Hustle Man, nigga. Hustle Man. They're not giving you that level of comedy. Chris Tucker funny. Yeah. The fuck? I don't know where y'all come from with y'all comedy. Once again, no disrespect. It's era. It has a lot to do with the eras and the generations. I'm biased. I'm sorry. But if you wasn't exposed to certain things, then you just don't, you know what I mean? It's just different. I don't know how you need to get you a unk or something in your life. It's different because there's some things that are missing in the ingredients. You know? Tracy Morgan, right? The shit that the natural Tracy Morgan would just stand there and look at you. He wouldn't even say nothing, bro. He didn't have to say anything. The way he played with his face. Early Chris Rock, when he was in the movie talking about can I just pay you 20 cents for half a chicken? Like, shout out to DC Young Fly. Shout out to Chico Bean. And a few other of them. Like I said, shout out to Country Wayne, Mr. Commodore. Hilarious. The characters that they have, fresh out, all of that shit. Hilarious. These niggas is hilarious. I be crying and whatnot. But I just gotta keep it a buck. I have to keep, you feel me? We just not about to start handing out rewards when we got goats amongst us. These people were they were funny as hell, bro. These were some comedians. So don't put that pen down. Keep writing. Be very funny. Yes, in the spirit of Dick Gregory, okay? And Paul Mooney. Conscious comedy. Conscious comedians. But they were intelligent and wise. It was all in the writing. Yes, Tommy Davidson, he's smart. He be on the frequency. You know what I'm saying? And Dick Gregory, though, that's all you need right there. He is the archetype. Please study Dick Gregory's life. Please study his legacy. Please study, because the shit that you just see in his later years, that you may see his videos that went viral, you may be misled by thinking that you know who he truly is in his whole story. Story is wild deep. He goes all the way back. He ran for president. He literally ran for president, ran on feet, right? For president, state to state to state. Okay? That's how raw he was. So Mooney twins, shout out to the Mooney twins. You know what I mean? Man, so them young brothers, they're gonna be able to go places. You know what I mean? Yeah, he got the Jesus popping rhetoric. You know, characters. You got to pick a character. Flip Wilson had characters. Richard Pryor had characters. We know them people from Living Color as their characters. Damon Wayans had mad characters. If Country Wayne got the Jesus is popping shit, that's his character that he's moving with, especially being in the Chitlin circuit in the Bible Belt. You know, he might be onto something. You know, he might be onto something. But I would highly encourage the writers who are listening to me in this rant of mine that I'm giving you all the clues that you need, because I'm ready to jump into this content, this scripted content game, and I want to go back to the greats. I want to duplicate these sketch shows. You know what I mean? I'm looking at you study the greats to be great. So I gave you the greats to me, the ones who shaped my sense of humor, the ones who I grew up admiring and whatnot, from Dolomite. I used to watch Benny Hill. You feel me? You know, the Scorpio in me, we like dark humor. I'm into the dark humor. You know what I'm talking about? That's why I gravitate to memes and meme comedy and shit like that. I love meme comedy these days. Like, I used to love when the brother Panic was into meme comedy. He was one of the first ones in his community who was making memes out of shit. He would make pictures. He would take pictures of people and make them memes and whatnot. And the shit was hilarious. You feel me? It allowed me not to take everything so serious. But yeah, we need to body this shit. You know what I mean? They no disrespect to the people who are out here who are considered funny, but they leaving a lot of room for us to bust ass. Pause. They leaving a lot of room for us. You feel me? To make our mark. You know, we have a lot of room. We don't have no competition. You feel me? We don't have no competition. So let's get some writers together. Dark humor. We could go into the dark humor. I'm not out here trying to be politically correct or what that. Let's strike them with the dark humor. Let's do some sketch comedy. Let's do some skits and whatnot. And let's make this shit hilarity. You know, because we got some funny people out here. You know? Yeah, Benny Hill was I love me some Benny Hill. I used to love me some Benny Hill, boy. Yeah, satire. You feel me? I just seen a special. I seen something on ISUPK. A white boy have a yo, what's taking over the internet right now is the white boys doing the documentary. White boys, that's taking over. That's the biggest shit on the internet right now to me. Anything white boys are doing to explore shit, they on their exploring shit. We're going to the trenches. We're going to the hood. We're spending the day with a rapper. We're spending the day with a hate group. That's what they said in the title for the ISUBK video. I spent 24 hours with a hate group. I'm like, it's time to start spoofing the Israelites, man. I'm ready to start doing some satire. You know what I'm talking about? Corinthians. You know, it's that time. You know, it's definitely that time. But the Europeans, and I figured it out this weekend. I figured it out. I cracked the code. I was doing some deep thinking and whatnot. And one of the reasons why the documentaries are blowing up and why they make so many, they go so viral. They was doing this since World Star Hip Hop, by the way. No, matter of fact, they was doing this since the DVD days when they used to take DVDs and go into the hood. Remember Hood USA? Remember Ghetto USA Part 1 and 2 type shit? So you got Brandon Buckingham, right? Brandon Buckingham. He be going into the trenches, right? He was the one that took us into Philly with YBC Duel and whatnot. And he went into Kensington with Skrilla and them. And then you got Trap Law Ross, right? His shit is addictive. His shit is addictive. They putting together some these videos are being put together in a way where it could play on cable television. You feel me? It could play on television. This shit is film. It's content, right? So what is the appeal? Why is everybody tuned in? Because they have discovered, and I brought this up before when I talked about Vlad TV. They know from a content creator's standpoint that true crime, right? True crime is the top genre. Okay. True crime. People are drawn to true crime. My Scorpio ass, I love that shit. I'm into true crime. You know what I'm talking about? I'm into true crime. I could sit back and watch I could binge on true crime all day, all night. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. I need help. You know what I'm talking about? Pray for me. But I could binge on some fucking true crime. Just not any true crime though. But I could binge me on some true crime. And when you look at the podcasts that are out here, you know, some of the top podcasts are true crime podcasts. When you look at the Patreons, some of the top Patreon content creators and channels are true crime. When you look at Spotify's and whatnot, when you look at some of the analytics on Netflix, true crime is at the top. Okay, people are drawn into these stories about true crime. And then it just so happens that we are in what I said before, we're in a villain era. Okay, we are in a villain era, and it's a little bit more than how it was 20 years ago. We are in a villain era. Case in point, and I told you we was in a villain era. What happened after I said that? They let Big Meech come home, right? And then everybody started turning into a goddamn Big Meech cheerleader. And I told y'all, don't take it personal. We're living in the villain era. Okay. You're not, you know what I'm saying? I know you on your sacrilegious shit, and but we're in the villain era. You don't have to accept it, but knowing is half the battle. So you don't take shit personal. The villain is popping. Okay, that's part of the shift. They're shifting the quote unquote the goalposts in a sense. Okay. I don't like the first 48. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm picky with my true crime. I don't know what it is. I don't like the first 48. I don't like shit that's too low frequency, you know. But I like that drill shit though. I'm just keeping it a buck. You know what I mean? It's something about the drill shit. It be keeping me stuck. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's okay. It's sticky. You know, that's the best way to explain it. It's sticky. You know, I tell myself I'ma just watch this shit for 5 minutes. 4 hours later, I'm like, okay, it's wrapping up. Then I know who killed who, and you know what I'm saying, who got beef with who. I'm too much in these people's business, but that's what these documentaries are doing. So to have white people or your white fans who we would say, I'm being real basic when I say that. Let me fix that. I'm sorry. When you have fan culture, because that's what it is. They just so happen to be white boys from the suburbs and whatnot, and they just so happen to be Caucasians and whatnot. They just so happen to be the opposite, usually the opposite race, right? Fanboys. Okay, they call it fanboys. They call it chat niggas. They call it the fan culture, right? Or fandom, right? They got fandom. So fandom is creating, they are what is called lionizing people in the culture. And what does that mean, Red? What it means is they are taking mere mortals, right? Niggas from the hood, street niggas, criminals, killers, right? Delinquents, okay? Sociopaths, degenerates, okay? Criminals, right? People who commit illegal acts of violence. And they are lionizing them through the filter of true crime, right? No, not only are they idolizing, they're not idolizing, they're lionizing them in a way, because the way that they tell the story is not in the sense where they're idolizing them. You understand? You got to understand, when you watch some of these documentaries, there's subtleties in the documentary. They low-key idolize them. They're fans of these rappers or these killers or these street dudes or these villains, but they romanticize them by lionizing them. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of like giving them this stamp, They're by white people talking about you in the hood, you become more lit, right? You got white people making documentaries about you, and the way that they speak about these drill rappers, they are immortalizing them. They're making them bigger than life. They are sprinkling a quote unquote extra layer on them. They're making them bigger than life. Even people from Chicago, they'll even say this. They said that about academics, DJ academics. They was like, DJ academics is out here bigging up niggas that don't even deserve to be bigged up. DJ academics is out here giving people names like the Grim Reaper, and these niggas got to live up to that name, and they're not even like that. DJ academics is talking about street shit that he don't know about, and he's getting the facts wrong. So that from DJ academics, he's one of the first ones. That's why I won't say a white. I won't say that it's a white. It's fan. It's these newsstands. These are new. Remember, this is troll culture mixed with the attention economy. Somebody say what's good about it. You're looking at it from a what's good. I'm just giving you the information about what's good, not what's good. I'm telling you about what's going on. I'm telling you about what's going on. I'm letting you know what's going on and how things are being documented on the internet. We're on the internet. We're on YouTube. People are telling stories and history about rappers that you hear about, or about movements that you hear about, or about, history that you might not know about. And to be honest with you, it's information. So what's good about it is, if you are looking at the information, if you want to inform yourself about certain things, these documentaries are informing people the same way that when we were coming up, they had documentaries about Alpo. They had documentaries about street shit. What was good about that? I don't know. You tell me the fuck. But it was still something that we were informed about because we were in the streets. So we were learning about people from those streets. Some of these things are kind of inseparable. I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? Because once again, when I do the roll call, it's not like everybody's from Calabasas and whatnot. We're from different hoods and whatnot. So these stories about these hood activities, or these gangs and whatnot, or these wars that are taking place, because these are literally wars. And these wars are in different neighborhoods amongst different gangs. These are musical wars. These are murder anthems. Okay? These are murder anthems that are being made by teenagers that have taken over these quote unquote, that have influenced adults, babies that are coming up, teenage, a whole bunch of shit. So there's overlying aspects about this, about the underbellies of our culture that's a part of popular culture right now, that we could definitely see on a weekly basis. It still has it's still churning out the results. You know what I mean? It's still coming up with different results. There's still activity taking place. Scarface 2 movie trailer. Right. You want to know how people are moving. And once again, I don't want nobody to feel nervous when you hear me talk about some of the real shit that goes down in the street, because I promise you, and take it from me, and this is the truth. It's not where you're from, it's where you're at. You could be in a situation, you could be in a neighborhood where it could be the most deadliest, darkest place. But if that's not something that you are magnetizing to you, you don't have nothing to worry about. Like the last time I went to New York, it's a lot of shit going on in New York, especially with the youth. But nowhere that I went, from Harlem to Brooklyn, nowhere that I traveled did I feel any type of that energy, because that's not the energy that I attract. I'm not into that type of life, but I know that shit like that is going on and things like that exist. It's when you're looking for that type of energy, that's when you attract that type of energy. Okay. It's when you're looking for that type of energy, that's when you attract that type of energy. But I'm even, as I explore and go down this rabbit hole, I'm beginning to question a lot of the activity that I see take place in some of these hoods with some of these drill artists and some of these gangs and whatnot. My spirit is telling me that there's other hands at play. You know what I mean? There's a hidden hand, you know what I'm saying, that's at play. Case in point, like there's been stories coming out of Chicago of them having like what they call black sites. There's been stories coming out of Chicago where they said the police is part of the drive-by. There's been stories coming out of New York where the police have intentionally, played the instigator in a lot of street affairs. The same way in LA and whatnot, they've had their hands dirty cops, crooked cops and whatnot. And we know that there's a lot of intelligence agencies that are out there and they are committed to our quote unquote dysfunction and whatnot. Not to mention, you have billionaire banksters, billionaire corporate entities like Universal, like Sony, I'm talking about people like Clive Davis and all of these other people and whatnot. They are invested in the dysfunction. They're pouring billions of dollars into these quote unquote wars and whatnot because they figured out how to make money from these artists 10 different ways and whatnot. They've realized that the more that they fund our quote unquote dysfunction, the more that they could sit back and act like they don't have any hands in it and whatnot. But keep in mind, it costs money to go to war. So it is of no coincidence from the years of about 2010 moving forward, these billion-dollar corporations willingly and knowingly gave gang members, gang bangers, people who had murder beefs and whatnot, drug addicts, millions upon millions of dollars, knowing, and then they spend a lot of money in their budgets, their advertising, their spends, their video views and whatnot. They purposely pumped up all of this shit, like Liar Cohen when he was behind Young Thug and YSL. He was behind Fetty Wap when he was pushing that shit about a thug queen and whatnot, or a trap queen and whatnot. He was behind Meg Thee Stallion and a whole bunch of other shit, the Migos in his early rise and whatnot, pushing trap rap, pushing this mentality. Because people may say, oh, what's wrong with trap rap and all of that? Well, when you look at the populations inside of the federal prisons, and when you look at the populations inside of the quote unquote state prisons and whatnot, and then when you look into our neighborhoods, and one of the main reasons why the neighborhoods are falling apart, and one of the reasons why shit is not moving the way that it's supposed to move, because the men are missing. There's an epidemic of black men, melanated men, that are completely missing, droves of them from their neighborhoods and whatnot. And there was a certain time where these individuals began to really fill these jail cells up. And I'm not saying that the music played a part in it, but I'm saying that the culture definitely pushed these people to to put themselves at high risk, whether it's the overdoses from the Molly Percocets, whether it's the quote unquote chasing a bag and whatnot, doing federal crimes and whatnot, whether it's slamming your brother out, whether it's gang banging and getting under these people's radar so they can start hitting you with these Ricos and there's so many traps that got laid in the past 15 to 20 years. And everybody is in a sense guilty, or culpable and whatnot. Everybody had their hand in that shit. You know what I'm talking about? And it's crazy when you really step back and you look at it, because there's a really thin line between the P. Diddy's of the world and the liars of the world, and then the people close to Liar and them. They after Liar and them, it's the Rothschilds. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. We can never ever stop researching and digging deep. I mean, it's sort of the research has already been done. Wesley Muhammad, Professor Griff, and many others, Black Dot, shit, Red and Blue. Like people have peeled the layers back and shown that these entities, these corporate entities, they have a big part to play, a very big part to play in the destruction of the melanated minds of the people. Because once you destroy the minds are going to destroy the neighborhood. They're going to self-destruct and destroy one another. They're going to destroy everything that's pure and innocent around them. They destroying the minds. They're destroying the spirits of people. They pushing that fucking poison and whatnot. They are bankrolling it. They are co-signing it. They are making sure that that shit streams and whatnot. They're making sure that it breaks records. That's the that's the purpose of the label. That's the purpose of the label. And they breaking niggas at the same time, breaking these artists, pillaging these artists for their masters and their publishing, doing what they do, destroying their wealth, breaking their spirits and whatnot. These rappers and these artists are having health problems because their spirit is bad. You know what I'm talking about? They're having poverty issues because they're spiritually impoverished for the shit that they had to do and the shit that they were forced to do, and even some of the music that they were forced to make. They went against their nature and whatnot, so the body breaks down. Shit becomes cancerous. You know what I'm talking about? Your cells start fighting you and whatnot because you dying from within. Motherfuckers is not even living with themselves. You know what I mean? They can't even live with themselves. These artists from the 90s and whatnot, looking at themselves in the mirror, them motherfuckers know. They know that they sold themselves out. They know that they was pawns and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? They know that they was part of an ill campaign to remove the consciousness and the righteousness out of the industry, and and let that shit that P. Diddy and all of them brought in to fester. That energy that P. Diddy brought into the industry, right? He's the archetype that represented an energy and an idea and a concept. He is a archetype. He's an architect. I've said it before. Hopefully we could see it more clearly now that he's man down and whatnot. We could see it more clearly as to what I was speaking about, how he's the progenitor. Jay-Z comes after him. He doesn't come before him. 50 Cent comes after him. They don't come before P. Diddy. He's standing at the gate. He's the gatekeeper. And I'm not on some Jaguar Wright shit. She's right about a lot of the things that she points out and whatnot. And she's right about a lot of the things that she repeats that she's heard from other people and whatnot. She aggregates information and gives it to people in a whole plate of food, right? But she says nothing different than what we heard Professor Griff say. She's not saying anything different than the research that we saw coming out of the places that Black Dot was exposing, the shit that Professor Griff was exposing, the shit that Wesley Muhammad was exposing. There's a brother named Philip A. Muhammad. He exposed some shit back in the days. There's a lot of people who broke this thing wide open, and they revealed a lot of crazy shit that was going on in the industry. And that's what we're in those days where we're seeing it. It's unfolding. Once people stop looking at the baby oil and they start focusing on the real subtleties of what's not being said. It's not what's being said. It's what's not being said. You understand? In this situation with Diddy and whatnot, it's not what's being said. It's what's not being said. Please understand what I'm saying. You're being distracted by a distraction. Okay? Because this whole shit doesn't have to be a distraction if you know what you're looking at. It doesn't have to be a distraction if you understand the severity of what the hell is taking place in this whole situation involving that individual. That's when you be like, oh shit, this is bigger than hip hop. This is bigger than rap. This is the ending of a whole entire fucking era. The spell is broken. How do you know the spell is broken? Because nothing hits the same anymore. It's sort of like in the Wizard of Oz when they killed the witch and whatnot, and the shit went from a one color to all color to techno color. When they took down the gatekeeper, when they took down the person who was holding a lot of this energy in place, when they broke him, when they took him out of the game, right? When they took away the veil, right? This was a veil. We have an upcoming lecture masterclass, and this will be some of the things that I will be speaking on, called Unveiling the Veil. So the fact that they lifted the veil, right? There's a veil that has been lifted with the arresting of a quote unquote P. Diddy, making him a felon, putting him in penitentiary clothes, putting him behind bars. A veil was lifted. Now everybody wants to see what's behind the veil. Now everybody wants to demand, were you at one of his parties? What did you see? The veil has been lifted. People around the world, not only in America, people around the world, people in Bermuda, people in the Caribbean, people in Africa, people in Europe and whatnot, they want to see what's behind the veil. They are getting access to certain things through Piers Morgan and other quote unquote platforms that serve their demographics. Candace Owens, Piers Morgan, and a whole bunch of other people are going to start or have already picked up those stories and are running with it. So now they're being exposed to this veil being lifted, and they like, oh, word, fuck hip hop. Let's tear that shit down anyway. We don't like it. You know what I mean? We don't like it. There's a love-hate relationship. They love it. They can't do without it, but they want to see behind the veil. Something has been lifted up, and they have permission to look behind the veil. Prior to this, with any hip hop scandal, whatever broke, they didn't have permission to look behind the veil. It wasn't necessarily a veil lifter. When they were killing the rappers like the Nipseys and whatnot, even if these people were being assassinated, when they were having many scandals, that wasn't a invite. That wasn't an introduction to look behind the veil. The P. Diddy, when they put his paperwork out, when they raided his house, when they said that they had a few terabytes of information for sex orgies and whatnot, that, my friends, is the permission now to look behind the veil. So the voyeurism in people has been activated. Niggas want to see what happened. They saw something. They saw the hotel video get leaked of P. Diddy in the hallway with Cassie. Once they were able to see, right? We live in a voyeurism generation where nothing is necessarily proven until it's seen. Believe nothing that you hear, half of what you see, right? So when they were able to see, they're able to do what? Take a peek inside of his private life to see, oh, this nigga is a gorilla pimp. He's heavy-handed. He's not just a freak. Because, you know, women who deal with people of a certain stature, who get a certain type of money and whatnot, who belong to a certain type of tax bracket, and who claim to be street niggas, you know, they some freaky ass nigga. There's a level of freak that certain people go to and whatnot. But you also know when you're dealing with killers, or when you're dealing with niggas that say that they street niggas or they mobsters, they also heavy-handed. You know what I'm talking about? They you know what that means? When you're dealing with the Beauty and the Beast, when you're dealing with monsters, ladies, you know that you are in danger's way. Okay, you are in danger's way. You could get stomped out. You feel me? These are people that don't have morality. These are psychopaths, sociopaths. Okay, and that's what you're dealing with. And you know, especially billionaires, men with money like the Trumps of the world. These people are known to be crazy. That's where you get 50 Shades of Grey from. They're freaky. They sadomasochist and whatnot. They do what the fuck they want to do. And they heavy-handed if they have to be. Men of power and whatnot. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you saw a hero turned into a villain, he had got the key to the city. We're just talking symbology and whatnot. They gave that man the key to the city and whatnot. That doesn't really mean much, but symbolically speaking, that means a lot. So the minute he got the key to the city, he turned into the motherfucking Joker and Gotham and whatnot. And then he started going dark. You know what I'm talking about? So you were able to see the hero turn into a villain, and vicariously by him turning into a villain the whole time, everything that he represented, from the music that he introduced you to the culture that he was pushing, to the lifestyle that he endorsed, all of that shit is part of the villain arc now. All of that shit is part of the villain arc now. It was a weird energy. It doesn't matter if you didn't know it. Everything that he was feeding niggas from the oh, we're gonna be metrosexual, oh, we're gonna dance like this with the Harlem Shake, we're gonna do the funny guy dance, oh, you know, all of that. Everything now has to be looked at and double checked and re-examined and be like, damn, this is the type of shit he introduced us to. He had us under his spell. So once again, going back to what I was saying a minute ago, the spell has been broken. People didn't even realize that they were underneath this egregor and whatnot. People didn't even realize that they were underneath this type of spell that he casted and whatnot. He was such a spellcaster. He's a Scorpio, mind you. Okay, this is a Scorpio we're talking about, and we're entering into the month of Scorpio. I would highly suggest, brothers and sisters, on this call tonight, on this show tonight, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because the day we cross over into Scorpio, which is in a few days, we're going to be going very hard, and we're going to go down a deep ass Scorpio rabbit hole for the whole month of Scorpio. We're going to be getting on some Scorpio shit, you know what I'm saying? So we could educate people about the deepness and the darkness of Scorpios, because it's not, we're not surface. We have mad layers to us. You need like a whole month to kind of unpack us. But the type of dark Scorpio that P. Diddy is, remember, hold on, let me show you how dark he is. Let me show you how, because he's dealing with some real dark energy. Okay, he's dealing with some real dark energy, right? He tapped into a real dark energy in his Scorpio or his scorpionic aura. Okay, he was able to tap into some dark Scorpio shit, and he attracts a lot of death, right? And a lot of people around him die. Okay, that's the dark Scorpio energy, right? When you're dealing with Scorpio, Scorpio is the sign of death. Scorpio is the sign of death. Let's be clear. When you're dealing with Scorpio, it is the sign of death. It's the sign of rebirth. It's the sign of sex. It's the sign of perverted sex too. If you can't master self, or if you get taken, you know, if you get whatchamacallit, if you get abused and knocked off your square early in the game, right? So Craig Mack, right? Dead. Biggie Smalls, dead. Black Rob, dead. Andre Harrell, Kim Porter, Shakir Stewart. There's a few others. Heavy D, Trouble T. Roy, right? A dark energy. When you're a Scorpio, you become like you become a soul snatcher. Okay, right? Not to say that he has his hand in the roles of anybody's untimely demise, but he has a hand in it, in a sense. Like there's a way that Scorpios could, you know, it's just shit that they do that could lead a person to their early grave, if you understand what I'm saying. Chris Lighty. Okay. You say you're on Hillary neck. You feel me? So if he had right, imagine if the people that he was dealing with, who on the surface you like, oh, that's just a CEO. What do they know about the underworld? Listen, this the same way that the mafia would have organizations where they work as a front is the same way inside of the music industry. People's role as CEO, A&R, a lot of that should be a front for other things. But what we do know is that he was around some very dark people in the industry and some connected people and whatnot. And as the architect, he was also the guard dog. Remember, like how they say the boule is the guard dogs of the wealthy, right? The quote unquote influential and whatnot. Let's just say Illuminati, right? So if they're going to give you any type of sway in the music industry, which also happens to be intricately tied to organized crime, they're going to give you the ability to get away with whatever you need to get away with because you are protecting the cabal. So they basically said anybody who you spot in the industry, you got to be able to quote unquote bring, you are the gatekeeper. You are the gatekeeper. Okay. You said, somebody said, Red, you know, secrecy. You telling all the business. Now, I will not tell all the business, but I'm going to give people the information about the Scorpio that they're going to need to, to just enlighten them, to educate them, because this is a very, very intricate sign that has a lot of layers to it. I promise you. And to understand some of the main players in the music industry right now, you got Future, you got Drake, you got Puff, right? All Scorpio, and there's a few others and whatnot. It's best to understand the mentality of some of these people and what level of Scorpio they are, because there's levels of Scorpio. It's not just one Scorpio. There's 3 Scorpios. Anyway, so he got turned out by some real dark entities, some real deep, dark people. They basically put him at the gates and said that you are in charge of basically breaking everybody who comes through these gates. You know what I'm saying? You're the gatekeeper. So you could eat these souls and whatnot. So it's your job to make sure that nobody comes through those gates. They're not supposed to come through those gates. And if they come through the gates of the industry, if they get through that quote unquote top level and they're not one of us, right? He would get in trouble. Okay. So he makes sure that anybody who makes it to the top floor on some sorry to bother you type shit, he makes sure before you get on that elevator to make it to the top floor, he has already flipped you or turned you or quote unquote, broke you. Right? That's his job. And then there's other gatekeepers, of course, that make sure that a lot of people, that's why you have people that go to Hollywood who are bright-eyed and they are so talented and they get broken and they send them back home. And they go into the industry and they get taken advantage of and they get their soul snatched and they get broken and whatnot. They get their light diminished and whatnot. That's not from P. Diddy's hands at all. He has minions at this point. The whole industry is filtered with a bunch of quote unquote guard dogs and gatekeepers and soul snatchers who just take people's ideas. They take their innocence. They take their light. They take their skills. They lock them into contracts. They put them in slavery. They put them in slavery. The slavery is on paper. Noble Drew Ali said, you have to be wary of Moors because they will put you back into slavery. So the new form of slavery is on paper slavery, meaning that I own you perpetually for life. You know what perpetual means? Forever. So people are signing over their publishing. Boom. And they're like, yo, I'll give you 20 bands and whatnot. You got a hot single, my nigga. You a one-hit wonder. Take this 20 bands, my nigga. Let me get that publishing. And then here you are coming from the projects and whatnot. You ain't used to seeing 20 bands and cash and whatnot. You like, damn, I'm lit. I could take off. Let me get that, right? Boom. Now he got your publishing. So if he signed 5 artists and he has the publishing of 3 of them, and there's 2 that refuse to sell their publishing, those 2 will not get promoted, because why would I promote you? You're not gonna. I can't make money while I'm sleeping if you own your publishing. These other 3 though, who I own their publishing, I'm pushing that music to the radio station. I'm gonna give the radio station a pay down of $100,000, my payola, because the more those albums spin, the more money I make as a publisher owner and whatnot. Once you understand that game, it's this, you know what I'm talking about? It's like with spins and whatnot and streams these days. If you put 100 songs out and they get 1,000 spins each song and whatnot, eventually that shit is gonna add up. So why you see so many artists these days selling their catalog for 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50, 60, 70, 100, 80, 500 million, like they snatched the Michael Jackson catalog up, right? Is because the way that the streaming business model is set up, it's all about catalog. It's all about catalog. So if you got a catalog of 100 songs or 200 songs, then that they know how to make money out of that shit. Let's go. Let's get that. Because eventually when these artists die and whatnot, their catalogs and their streaming numbers even go higher. Dead rappers get better promotion. Dead R&B people get better promotion. You know, dead artists get better promotion. So these companies are buying up people's catalogs and they're publishing and giving them one time, here, take that money. Because what they have planned down the line, especially with AI, they're going to triple that money. See, these investors know the business plans and the roadmaps of where technology is going. They're not going to tell the person that they're buying it from. It's like buying a cheap house and flipping it. When they was coming to people's houses with them suitcases, hey, I got 30,000 in cash. Let me get this fucking 4-bedroom on Moreland Ave. And black people was like, oh my goodness, I'm selling it. They're singles. I'm going Magic City. And they was selling their cribs, their grandmama's house and whatnot. And then they were putting a little bit of renovation into those houses and then selling them shits for $1.5 million a few years later. It's the same thing that's going on with these catalogs. They're going to buy up all these catalogs from these artists, and then they're going to have something that they're going to introduce where you could take, it's going to be generative AI. It's going to have the AI to where you basically could do a song. Let's say I could do a song with Michael Jackson. I could do a song with Whitney Houston on a hook. I could do a song with Tupac and he got the second verse and whatnot. And I could also put it on Spotify. I could chart with that song. You know, certain people are going to have ethics against it, but then there's going to be certain people that are going to go with that. And that's just one of the ways that they're going to flip a lot of people's money. But yeah, P. Diddy, you know, he's, you know what I'm saying? He is responsible for ripping off a lot of artists, robbing a lot of artists, and even because, like I said, he is a portal. He's an architect. So many others like him came into the industry and planted their flags. Many others like him of an even darker nature were able to plant their flag in the industry, like Baby from Cash Money. Okay, like Baby from Cash Money. He has a lot of shit with him. I told y'all before that we'll talk about Baby, but not today. You know what I mean? In my mind, I think Baby and Slim are like Lestat of Louisiana. They're the black Lestats of Louisiana. You know, it's given heavy hoodoo magic. You know, you said they have a whole Tupac AI album. It sounds just like him. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, and don't ever put anything above none of these artists that you see on the cross that are being crucified and that are being outed and whatnot, because these artists, they belong, they're owned, they are in bed with some of the most heartless, gangsters that have, you know what I mean, and some of the most demonic, quote unquote, businessmen that you'll ever meet. These banksters, these bankster gangsters and whatnot, these quote unquote Zionists, these Khazarians, they wicked, you know what I mean? And they are the hidden hand that's behind a lot of this shit. A lot of this shit. And it starts at the ground level, at the labels, but it goes all the way into the hood. It goes all the way into the trenches. Some of them are behind the cartels and the drugs. Some of them are behind the trafficking, organ harvesting. Some of them behind these drugs, especially the chemical ones like these pills and whatnot. They have their hands in that. The same way when our people were addicted to heroin during the jazz days, who do you think had their hands in that? Who was supplying the drugs? Hmm? Who were the managers that were getting the artists drugs? You know what I mean? They were paying them in drugs. Clive Davis got busted back in the 70s, right? Let's go and look it up. Let's go and look it up so we could all learn something tonight. Clive Davis, payola, drugs. Let me see. I'm showing you this just to show you how much has not changed. Let's look at this article real quick, because they be trying to puff these people up like these people ain't criminals. All right, here we go. This is Rolling Stone. Clive Davis ousted, meaning he got kicked out. Payola cover-up charge. This is 1973. Columbia Records president is fired by CBS amid allegations of misuse of funds and providing drugs to artists and disc jockeys. So this brother right here, who my father loves as an artist, right, became a heavy drug addict. Sly Stone, right? Not to say that Clive Davis turned him into a drug addict, but he definitely helped exasperate the addiction and whatnot. So Sly and the Family Stone, right? Clive Davis, president of Columbia Records, was always proud of long-term agreements. Miles Davis, Johnny Cash, Leonard Bernstein in Chicago, Barbra Streisand and the Byrds. He fought with big money to keep Laura Nyro at his label and refused to believe that Dylan was out of his contract for a year after the fact. He took enormous pleasure in what to him must have been no less than resurrections, born of his own personal patience of Johnny Winter, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Santana, Sly Stone, Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel. All right. Today, the president is in seclusion, accepting meetings with a criminal lawyer. He has been asked to face a grand jury probe into interstate heroin trafficking and possible connections between payola by drugs and Columbia Records. Clive Davis has been fired by his company and sued for alleged personal use of company funds. His contract is null and void. He has been depicted by CBS officer as a culprit found involved in hanky-panky. He has been fingered by a once loyal executive assistant as the man responsible for authorizing the practice of payola at Columbia Records. And so payola joins Watergate's on the front pages. Columbia has its own potential Watergate, and the record business has the shakes almost as bad as Alan Freed had them when the first government payola investigation began 14 years ago, right? So this is the dude who they try to pass along like he has some type of credit in our culture, or as if this man's hands are clean, you know what I mean? And they even had a video where he was like, I don't know no P. Diddy. No, nigga, you are the quote unquote, you are his mentor. You are the lizard who's responsible for a lot of the shit that has been taking place behind the scenes. Once again, hidden hand. But that's the father of Bad Boy. That's the man who brings you Craig Mack, Biggie Smalls, and whatnot. That's the man that brings you that whole wave of what we call the Bad Boy era. Okay. One of the other things that took place this weekend that opened my eyes up as to how deep and how dark of a situation that we're dealing with these individuals that we're speaking of is there was a groundbreaking, record-breaking settlement, right? A record-breaking settlement by the Catholic Church for $500 million, 880 million in LA, I think Los Angeles, which would brought back the memory to P. Diddy, right? Sean Combs was also in private school his whole career and whatnot. He was a part of this same type of environment where this case just broke. And for the life of me, I didn't hear white people talking about this, European talking about this. I didn't hear Piers Morgan's talking about this. I didn't hear these white blogs these podcasts talking about this. I just didn't hear it. I didn't see it on my timeline. They're not making a big deal about this, but check this out.
Church for alleged child sex abuse. The Archdiocese settlement ever, the largest settlement ever from the Roman Catholic Church for alleged child sex abuse. The Archdiocese of Los Angeles has agreed to pay out, and listen to this number, $880 million to more than 1,300 people.
The settlement could be the final chapter and what has now become a landmark battle of child sex abuse claims dating back decades. It's on behalf of more than 1,300 victims who say they suffered abuse by local Catholic priests and comes after months of negotiations with the Archdiocese. More than 300 priests have been accused in legal documents and public records of sexually abusing minors. The Archdiocese had previously paid $740 million in various settlements, bringing this total payout to more than $1.5 billion. The Archdiocese says it will fund those settlements with investments, assets, reserves, and bank loans. In a statement, attorneys for the alleged victims told CBS News the massive amount of this settlement reflects the amount of grievous harm done to vulnerable children and the decades of neglect, complicity, and cover-up by the Archdiocese, which allowed known serial predators to inflict this harm. Archbishop Jose Gomez, in a statement, said in part he hoped the settlement would provide some measure of healing to those harmed.
So once again, you have situations like that are just being glossed over, right? As if they don't have any merit. Okay. Imagine how many people are running around Hollywood that come out of those institutions and whatnot who were bitten by these demons or these vampires who went ahead and bit other people, right? And because it is of a vampire-like culture. Okay, it is of a vampire-like culture. And these institutions that are creating all type that are getting away, these people are getting away with crimes that everyone that I know were like, if that's the highest violation of a crime is when you hurt a child. That's at the top. Okay, that's when you get that's when you get green lit to get hands and feet put on you. But there's no outcry, and I wonder why. There's no outcry. People are not drawing conclusions. They're not connecting the dots. You feel me? They're not connecting the dots. They're focusing on the lower hanging fruit. They're focusing on the lower hanging fruits. So these are the places that are creating the Diddies of the world. Okay. And once again, they've been doing it. They came over here doing that. They were doing that in Spain and whatnot. And they're continuing to do that. And, it's something that we're going to cover in the upcoming video essay that we have called The Tunnels of Set. There's also a story that I want to show that is kind of like, I wanted to show it on my, it's one of those things where I'm tippy-toeing on the line. I got to use the disclaimer so I don't have the algorithm attack me and whatnot. But I'm going to just keep it a buck. Even if they try to strike me for this thing, I'm willing to get this information to you because this is very important. And it is in perfect alignment to many of the things that I've been talking about on this show and in my lectures and whatnot. And it's been verified by Candace Owens. And this lady in this video right here is even following up. She's doing some deep diving. And I'm encouraging the family, the KTLians, the students in the building to go ahead and do some more deep diving. But when we talk about lifting the veil, nothing really lifted the veil the way that this video helped to lift the veil on. I was really sitting contemplating all day after watching this video, and it helped to change my perspective about shit that I was being programmed as a child, right? To think and to learn. They lied to me in a sense. I've been programmed as a child, always had questions and whatnot. And when I saw this video, it solved some of those questions that I had, and it made so much sense that it made me literally like Tetris blocks rearrange my perception of world history, of my world view. I promise you. So check this out, right? Oh, let me read this. For educational and informational purposes only, the information provided or through this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only, and solely as a self-help tool for your own use, right? If there's somebody in this audience of Gooish background, don't get tender, don't get tender, and don't get don't get fragile. Don't practice fragility and whatnot. Allow us to teach one another about truths that y'all have hidden from us, and y'all don't want us to hurt. Y'all don't want us to hear the other side of the story. You know what I mean? Because there's more to what we've been taught in school. So check this out.
Nazis to send Jews to death camps. Yep. Did you know that Jewish Zionist leaders collaborated with German Nazis to send Jews to death camps? Yep. I'm going to break this down for you a bit further. So in 1933, when Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, the German Zionist Party was not very popular at all. Zionism and the idea of a Jewish homeland was not at the forefront of Jewish thinking. But German Jewish Zionists saw the rise of Hitler as, and this is a quote from Burl Katznelson, David Ben-Gurion's deputy, an opportunity to build and flourish like none we've ever had or will have. Ben-Gurion, who became the first prime minister of Israel, said, "The Nazis' victory will become a fertile force for Zionism." These quotes are from Tony Greenstein's book, Zionism During the Holocaust. In fact, Zionists were discussing the Holocaust before it happened. This is a quote from Robert Seffer's book, 1666, Redemption Through Sin. So, the very first public mention of the word Holocaust in regards to World War II came as early as 1936 from the leader of Labour Zionism, Chaim Weizmann. While addressing the World Zionist Congress, Weizmann, who would later become Israel's first president, in 1936 made the following dreadful pronouncement: "Perhaps only 2 million Jews will survive the upcoming Holocaust." Yes, he used that word. "But they will be strong and good for the land of Israel. The rest will be blown into the dust pile of history." Okay. I continue quoting from Seffer. In 1932, how many organizations in Germany represented German Jewry? Over 250. And a lot of those were anti-Zionist, right? Not pro the Zionist Jewish state. In 1933, when Hitler becomes Chancellor, how many were there? One and one only, Labour Zionism. I continue quoting, Rothschild money and Jesuit power initiated the so-called Enlightenment. The final aim of the movement was to establish a Sabbatean-Frankism state, I'll explain that term later, in the historical land of the Jews. To foment the idea, life had to become so intolerable for Europe's Jews that escape to Palestine would appear the best option. But was the plan a conspiracy theory, or is this conspiracy a documented fact? Theodor Herzl, the father of modern Zionism, claimed that the establishment of a Jewish state would cure anti-Semitism, but he also promoted anti-Semitism to further his cause. In his published diary, Herzl boldly stated, "It would be an excellent idea to call in respectable accredited anti-Semites as liquidators of property. The anti-Semites will become our most dependable friends, the anti-Semitic countries our allies." The Israeli historian Benny Morris described how Herzl foresaw and calculated the covert ways in which anti-Semitism could be harnessed and exploited in order to further expedite the realization of the political goals of Zionism. He stated that Herzl regarded Zionism's triumph as inevitable, not only because life in Europe was ever more untenable for Jews, but also because it was in Europe's interest to rid the Jews and be relieved of anti-Semitism. The European political establishment would eventually be persuaded to promote Zionism. Herzl recognized that anti-Semitism would be harnessed to his own Zionist purpose. According to historian Christopher John Bejertnes, Jewish support was the only thing lacking in the Rothschilds' plan to establish a world government in Jerusalem, with a Rothschild ruling as king, right? Jews weren't interested in Zionism. I continue, they could bankrupt Egypt and Turkey, they could bring Russia to ruins, they could buy Jewish ne'er-do-wells, they could even buy the Pope. But the only way to force Jews in large numbers to Palestine was to put Hitler and Stalin in power and persecute Jews on a massive and unprecedented scale. Jewish author Barry Sheimish, who in the summer of 1982 fought in the Lebanon War for the Israeli Defense Forces and whose grandparents died in a concentration camp in Poland, published in his book that, we now jump to 1933. Less than 1% of the German Jews support Zionism. Many tried to escape from Nazism by boat to Latin and North American ports, but the international diplomatic order was to turn them back. Any German Jew who rejected Palestine would be shipped back to his death. By 1934, the majority of German Jews got the message and turned to the only Jewish organization allowed by the Nazis, the Labour Zionists. For confirmation of the conspiracy between them and Hitler's regime, read The Transfer Agreement by Edwin Black, Perfidy by Ben Hecht, or The Scared and the Doomed by Jacob Nuremberger. Can you imagine? According to Sheimish, the deal cut worked something like this. The German Jews would first be indoctrinated into Bolshevism and Labour Zionism camps, and then, with British approval, transferred to Palestine. Under the 1935 Nuremberg laws, only 2 flags were permitted in Nazi Germany. One was the swastika, the other was the blue and white banner of Zionism. According to Lenny Brenner's book, Zionism, the Age of Dictators, the Zionist Party was the only other political party in Nazi Germany to enjoy a measure of freedom. Zionists and Nazis had a common interest that developed into a formal partnership, making Jews go to Palestine. The pro-eugenics Labour Zionists got the Jews they wanted by training them in farming in Nazi camps, and let the millions of Orthodox religious Jews, the ones against political Rothschild Zionism and other non-Frankists, perish in Europe, while their wealth was liquidated and transferred to the Labour Zionists. This is all covered in the book, The Transfer Agreement.
So real quick, just to give a little bit of understanding about what she's saying, in lieu of what I was taught and when I was coming up in my programming, right? Reason why I said I was sitting around contemplating my programming from when I was a child. So what she's explaining is that there are in Nazi Germany in the 30s and whatnot, there are groups of Jews that are not the same, right? So you often hear me bring up the Sephardic Jews, and that goes all the way back into the Moors in Spain. And it was the Sephardic Jews that were basically ousted with the Moors, right? The Sephardic Jews played a big role. And there's also Orthodox Jews, similar to the ones that you'll find in Brooklyn and places like Crown Heights, the Lubavitch and all of them. These are the Orthodox Hasidics and things of that nature. They are not the same Jews as the Zionists. The Zionists don't practice the religion They don't follow the same type of quote unquote laws that other Jews follow. So what took place was they killed one group, and then the other group was able to take over. Henceforth, you have this group now who are more Nazi-like in their behavior than they are meek and humble and weak, like they show you these signs or these pictures of people in concentration camps. Those are not the same people who basically come into power in Is It Real later on. These people that come into power were in bed with the quote unquote you know who.
So Zionist Jews did this to Jews who did not agree with Zionism. While non-Zionist European Jews were in mortal danger, Zionist leaders in America deliberately provoked and enraged Hitler. They began in 1933 by initiating their worldwide boycott of Nazi goods. Chaim Weizmann, the Zionist chief and later first president of Israel, said, "Every nation has its dead in its fight for its homeland. The suffering under Hitler are our dead." Rabbi Moshe Schonfeld.
So what she just stated was the man said that what they need dead souls, they need dead bodies to anoint their purpose, right? Henceforth, what took place on October 7th, the same thing took place. The same thing took place on 9/11, when people would be like, why would they sacrifice their own people? Because they need those souls. They need those dead souls to oil the wheels of whatever it is that they are putting forward. So their ultimate goal was to get that land. Their ultimate goal was to create a land for the quote unquote Jews. But the Jews they didn't want the land. They were like, we don't get that land until the prophet, until our Messiah comes. That's when the land is supposed to be given, not before, right? So nobody was even thinking about that. Nobody's mind was on that. But then the Rothschilds and some in Britain, the British and whatnot, and the Zionist party, they come together, and now we have Israel. And I'm throwing this all out there because so many people who look like me don't know anything about this place, don't know nothing about the history, because it's considered a crime to even talk about it. They don't want you to talk about it. This shit is heavily, redacted and protected. In some places, you could get thrown in the pokey for even speaking on some of these truths, or even asking, because I'm asking questions. Shit. These are the teachers. When I was a kindergarten, from kindergarten, the people who was hitting me with rulers when I was in school in the Virgin Islands and whatnot, they were from this ethnicity. And then they had me crying over their story. And I used to get hit with rulers, and they used to give me the wild pity party when we was young and whatnot about all of the shit that happened to them whole time. That's not the real story. There was a group of them that got knocked off, but that might not be the same people, the German Jews that are in America, are telling us these pity parties. That's not their people.
Accuses the Rothschild Zionists of collaborating in the Nazi slaughter of European Jewry directly and indirectly. He makes these charges in his book, Holocaust Victims Accuse, which was published in 1977. Rabbi Sean,
get them books that she's spitting off. Even if you got to rewind it, go and find those books and get into them books, please. Let's not make this one person's research. Let's crack open the books and get a better understanding, because this is global politics that's in front of our face right now. You know what I mean? I really want to understand who these people are and why they got America in a headlock, and why the whole world is on their neck like this.
Calls the Zionists war criminals for usurping the leadership of the Jewish people, betraying them to be slaughtered, and then reaping the moral capital from their own treachery. He states, the Zionist approach that Jewish blood is the anointing oil needed for the wheels of the Jewish state is not a thing of the past. It remains operable to this very day. So just going to read you that previous quote again. Zionist chief and later first president of Israel said, "Every nation has its dead in its fight for its homeland. The suffering under Hitler are our dead." How could Jews do this to Jews? This is me speaking, not quotes anymore. Collaborate in sending their own people to death camps, and all to bring about and populate the Zionist homeland in Palestine. Most Jews are unaware of the Illuminati agenda, which is also the Sabbatean-Frankist agenda. This is a sect of Judaism which has its origins in a man called Sabbatai Zevi, who declared himself to be the Messiah in 1666. Over 1 million Jews, half the world's population of Jews at the time, followed him, which is a large amount, and he claimed that redemption was available through acts of sin.
Please get this book, and please, if you do anything, do the research on the Sapiens, okay, and Jacob Frank, please. And I spoke about this in lectures, and I breezed over it on some shows, but this is a very important nugget.
Many saw his teaching as heresy and excommunicated him. After his death, a Sabbatean Jew called Jacob Frank succeeded him. I start quoting again from Robert Seffer's book, 1666, Redemption Through Sin. Jacob Frank, so this is me trying to explain to you how Jews could do this to Jews, and the difference between Sabbatean-Frankist Jews and normal Jews. Jacob Frank asserted that God, the Creator, was different from the God who had revealed himself to the Israelites. He believed the biblical God was evil, a belief widely held in Gnostic circles, which I also believe. I think Yahweh is an inversion, okay? The only difference is where Frank separated himself was by rejecting every moral law and commandment.
Do you hear that? He rejected every moral law and commandment. So when you think about these people who are running the music industry, when you think about these people, they have rabbis that bought Pornhub, the whole company, rabbis bought them. When you think about the fact that Is It Real is a rest haven for SA offenders and whatnot. When you think about the people who are running Hollywood, the Weinsteins, the Epsteins and whatnot, let's think about everything that she's saying, all of the rumors that people heard about the children in the tunnels and all of that. This is all about inversion and the quote unquote the opposite of morality, right? The opposite of morality, cleaning your soul with sin.
And declaring that the only way to a new society was through the total destruction of the present civilization. He insisted that child sacrifice, rape, incest, and the drinking of blood were perfectly acceptable and necessary religious rituals. There's a lot to be said about the sect, so I really recommend reading this book because I can't go fully in depth here into their ideology of inversion. This sect follows the Babylonian Talmud. So originally Judaism was based on Moses' vision of God as a universal moral force.
Study inversion, look up the inversion, find out what that really infers, right? How people are crypto. They practice one thing on the surface and do something totally different behind closed doors. And the inversion of these symbols.
Judaism today is based on the Talmud, which consists of the interpretations of sages, Pharisees, during the Babylonian exile 586 BC to 1040 AD. Generally speaking, the Talmud contradicts the spirit of Moses and takes precedence over the Old Testament. It's an inverted text. It's Sabbatean-Frankist in its core, okay? Jacob Frank would eventually enter into an alliance formed by Adam Weishaupt and Mayer Amschel Rothschild called the Order of the Illuminati.
There you have your Illuminati, right? Now it makes sense. Now you could really understand. So if you're going to study Illuminati, you're going to have to study extensively who the Jacob Frank is. And, you know, and then it would make sense why, fast forward today, the people that are in the Illuminati are practicing all of these blood sacrifices, all of these rituals, how they're so evil, why they don't have any karma, why they don't have any more. Like, all of this begins to make sense. And then you could look at the industry and the P. Diddy's, and you could look at all of these artists and what they're being bankrolled and financed by these same Illuminati people, these same Jacob Frankists and whatnot. They are the ones at the banks. They are the ones at the labels. They are the ones in Hollywood. They are the ones that are pushing agendas. They're not going to sign nobody up that's going to be pushing some shit that's opposite of what they on. They're not going to get behind no artists. They're not going to push no type of products that's going to expose them. So a lot of the people that you see who are contracted to these entities and to these people and whatnot, they are serving their agenda, unfortunately.
The objectives of this organization was to undermine the world's religions and power structures in an effort to usher in a utopian era of global communism covertly ruled by their hidden hand, the New World Order. Using secret societies such as the Freemasons, their agenda has played itself out over the centuries, staying true to the script. Opposition is handled by a near total control of the world's media, academic opinion leaders, politicians, and finance. A fundamental part of the Illuminati's aim is to fulfill the Frankist plot of subverting the world's religions and the Zionist objective of instituting a global government which would be ruled by a king from Jerusalem. So the Sabbatean-Frankist, Lurian Kabbalistic Jews are the root cause of what destabilized Germany, causing Hitler to want to expel the Jews. And they are the Zionist Jewish entity that collaborated with the Nazis in traumatizing the Jews and giving them the only option of settling in Palestine when they were under extreme danger and duress. So while we look at Palestine and we compare it to the Nazi death camps of World War II, the same Zionist entity is at the root of both of them.
Yeah, bars, sis, bars. We're going to do more deep diving on these topics and whatnot, but I really just wanted to introduce people to a concept and some research that was contrary to something that you probably ever heard or seen and whatnot, but it makes sense and it's worth deep diving on. It makes sense and it's definitely worth reading some of these books and following up on, because I promise you, when I sat back after hearing this and shit just started falling into place like Tetris blocks, things began to make sense. Perception immediately changed and whatnot. I seen things for what they are versus what these people have taught me for more than 3 or 4 decades. They had me fucked up. But she put that shit into perspective and I seen it for what it is. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yes. Okay. There you go. There you go. So we cracking this case. You know what I mean? We are close to cracking this case. We on these people's heel. We got the Vatican getting exposed. We are on these people's case and whatnot. We on their motherfucking heels. These are the people who the Democrats and the Republicans are trying to trick us into voting for and to getting behind and to giving our energy and our consent to. And I will not do that. You feel me? I'm on a mission. I don't have time to do anything. I'm in investigating mode. You know what I mean? I'm in the lab. I'm in investigation mode. But that some of that man, I just want to take my power back. I just want to take my power back. And however way we got to do it, I just want us to take our power back. I want to take my shit back first, and then I want us to get our power back. We've been giving these people so much power. I just could feed them feasting off of us. I could just feel it. You feel me? They are feasting off of us. They are bloodsuckers. I could feel the parasites on us. You feel me? I could feel them suckling, you know what I mean, from the golden calf. I could feel them on us like when you go into the woods and you feel the mosquitoes on you. I could feel them on us like mosquitoes at a barbecue, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? But, we getting rid of them. We shaking them off. You feel me? We are shaking them off. But we got work to do. Promise you. It don't got nothing to do with no political affiliation. I'm not waiting on no, the government is owned by Nazis. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even a fool. I'm not even going to fool myself. Anything that's going to be done is going to be done by a collective who are on the same page and frequency. Everything else is uncivilized. I would be a fool to wait on anybody that don't look nothing like us to save us. One of the craziest things that I heard today, I don't even know why I was listening to this man speaking, but I was in the shower. And when you finish listening to a video, it just goes directly into another video. So I'm washing up and whatnot, and a Charleston White video comes on. And I'm in the shower and I'm listening, and I hear him say some real stupid shit. And it just, and right after that, just to show how the spirit be working, right after that, a rumor had popped off that this man got popped and whatnot. But it was the spirit just showing me that this is a fool talking. He said in the video that he would rather, because he was talking to Say Cheese, and he was like, yeah, there was a video out there of me getting arrested. So he said, well, at least white people could see that I respect white folk. You know how he be in his character. And I'm here to let Charleston know, even if that's your character is flawed. You and your character is flawed, my genius. And that shit is finna catch up to you, because you said the dumbest shit that you could ever say. And your character said some crazy dumb shit. And right now, it's a matter of time. But he said, I would rather black people as my enemy, because he said he had got locked up in 2020, right? He used to be in the community. He used to be a community person, right? Like a community organizer for children and shit like that. And he said that he got locked up and they basically put him in the crazy house. He went into the mental institution. And he said when he came out of the mental institution, he started aiming his quote unquote, because he said before that he was mad militant. He had black power shit. They caught it when they pulled him over. He had some black power shit in the car. He was on his white man again. You know what I mean? He was banging on the beast. Like he was probably locked in to the YouTube movement that we was doing in Harlem. More than likely, he was tapping in to what was going on the internet through one of the different channels. After he got out the crazy house, he started attacking black people, the gangs, street niggas, shit like that. You know what I mean? The ratchet hip hop, the drill rappers and shit like that. He started disrespecting their mamas and all of that. And then he said on the interview, he said, yo, I would rather have enemies with niggas, my own people, before I become enemies with the white man. He said, I would rather be at harm. I would rather be at harm's length with niggas than to have white people throw me in a mental institution. And when I heard that, I said, oh no, that's when we, you know what I mean? We eventually got to get off on the highway. That's when I said, I clicked on the exit, the right, I made a right off the exit. I got to leave him now. I can't fuck with, because he's a fool. How the hell I would never say no stupid shit like that. I would rather white people be my biggest, and what? Are you dumb? That just shows you that the man don't identify as being a part of the race anymore when he say some stupid shit like that. Because your race is your race. You gonna go down with your people regardless. You don't want to make enemies with your own people in lieu of being afraid of having fear for somebody else. That's going out the sucker way. That's a coward dying 1,000 deaths. You will never get respect from me saying some dumb shit like that. Are you fucking dumb? You would rather your own people be your enemy? Your own people gonna see you more than white people. You gonna run into your own people more times than you ever gonna run into some Caucasians. You don't got to deal with no Caucasians but a few times in your life. And if you can't get past whatever the fuck they're gonna lay on you, then you should just, I don't know what to say to you. But to say that you would rather your own people as an enemy, and then A few hours after that, there was a rumor that he got shot in Chicago, and he didn't get shot. It wasn't him. It was another nigga named Charleston White. But the way that the call was made, the dispatcher said 3 men shot one person. She was like, yeah, it's just a Charleston White. He got shot by 3 different people. So that was just the spirit, because that was the spirit. Even though it didn't prove true, it made an imprint on the psyche of a lot of people. It made an imprint on the collective consciousness of the world. He's a martyr, and he want to be a martyr. I mean, God damn it. He even said it himself that on his record, on his jacket and whatnot, they have him as homicidal and suicidal. He's literally has a death wish. He literally has a death wish. He literally wants to be a martyr. Facts. You know, whatever he's dealing with, it put him in that position to where he said, yo, I'm gonna martyr myself. Because if you think that that character that he created called Charleston White is going to be able to grow old in this culture or in this society, then you got another thing coming to you. And that's not to speak bad on anybody's name. He knows it. He'll tell you that he's not going to make it out of the fire with that character. Okay, that character is not going to make it out of the fire. He knows that his days are numbered. Okay, he wants to be a martyr to the niggas who are following him. That's who he wants. He wants to martyr himself to whatever movement of the people who he thinks that he's appealing himself to. That's who he wants to martyr himself to. He wants to be a martyr. You know? And he's going to get his wish because he speaks on it. He's going to get his wish eventually. It's going to catch up to him. You can't live life with your head on swivel and you got mad enemies like that just because of your character. A character that you created that has a poor character, has a very poor character, and people are going to get tired of the character. And once they get tired of the character, they are going to they're going to close in on it. You know, he has quote unquote, he's built a quite a reputation for himself where people would get kudos for hurting him. You know, he took it a little past the villain arc. Little Woody is more of a villain than he is. You know, Little Woody he fits the villain arc more than Charleston White. So if he doesn't fit that arc, then where he doesn't have anywhere to nestle or to rest comfortably. So you won't see him. I don't wish nothing bad on nobody, but I have foresight. I could see things, and I see him putting himself in a bad predicament. You know what I mean? And it was verified to me today with that rumor. You know what I'm saying? And it's still we in Aries moon. We're still on that. We're still in the throes of that super moon and whatnot. You feel me? We still in the moon. We still in that moon. And you know, in that moon, the moon projected that he got crashed out on. So, you know, somebody send some safety angels to that man and allow him to wake up to the fact that you know he needs to do a pivot real quick. He needs to do a pivot real quick. And he was in jail. He just got bailed out. And we got this thing in my hood where, you know, we say sometimes you got to get a reading before you get bailed out, because sometimes when you get sat down and whatnot, it's because you was moving too fast. And spirit sometimes get you out of harm's way. Do you know how many men would be in the grave if they didn't get sat down? They get a chance to come back and do it again. They get a second chance at life, like a Big Meech and whatnot. You know, there's some people that do not have a second chance because the pen is really low key the lifesaver aspect. That's when you get put on them scales. We in this month of Libra. The scales is death or jail. They like, yo, if you live in this life, it could be one or two things. You go to jail or you get killed. Well, the motherfucking when you get killed is game over. When you go and sit down and you get 25 or you get 20 or you get whatever, that is the aspect that you were spared. And you're gonna go into purgatory. You're gonna go into a living hell, but you have the opportunity to what? To be corrected, to hit you, to come home. You could come home on an appeal. You could come home on a pardon. You could come home in many different ways when your time is up, on parole, but you were given a second chance, and the spirit sat your ass down because it could have put you in a box. The real sit down with a closed one. You feel me? With a closed one. And you don't get to try it out. Look how many they got dudes coming home now that went away from they triple, you know what I mean? Like, bruh, if I was dead, I would be mad. I'd be like, God damn, these niggas is coming home already. I don't even get to come home, you know? Like the way time is moving, and you know what I'm saying? Dudes be going up the river and coming right back down. You don't even realize they gone. But you in purgatory. You're buried alive. You know, I said it before. Jail is a dress rehearsal for death. Jail is a dress rehearsal for death, because you get to see, when you get locked up, you'll get a dress rehearsal. You'll get to see the same people who gonna run and hold you down when you locked up is the same people that's gonna be there for you on some item A shit like the movie Ghost when your ass is gone. Those gonna be the same people that's gonna do the arrangements. They gonna hold shit down. They gonna make sure that you look good and whatnot. Those are the same people that's gonna accept your call, send you a motherfucking package with some books and some goddamn cheese and whatnot. You know what I mean? It's a dress rehearsal. You know, you'll get to see. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, for so many of our melanated brothers and now our sisters and whatnot, we have been caught up in that ill cycle. And like I said earlier, it's mad niggas locked up. I didn't even realize it. New York, where I'm from, got 70 jails and they're all packed. Okay? Nigga, 70. And we not talking, these is prisons, big houses. You know what I mean? These ain't no camps and whatnot. They got 70 plus. You could Google it. New York State got 70 plus. It's niggas packed in these jails everywhere. Everywhere, bro. I'm talking about they got warehouses and now the feds is popping. I come up from the days where they had a few federal jails here and there. The feds is like the states now for niggas. So it's mad people on lockdown. It don't make no sense. From mad shit, weed, child support, jaywalking, you name it. Drugs, guns, robberies, you name it. And I'm not capping for no damn prisoners. I'm just saying, head count wise, there is a big deficit in mad neighborhoods for melanated men. And they're gonna be coming home back to back to back to back. You know, every year it's just gonna be more people coming back, more people coming back, more people coming back. You know? But for the people that are coming back and they coming back to help fix what they broke, you know what I mean? Because atonement is a superpower. For the people that are coming back to fix what they broke, kudos to y'all. You know, because there's a lot of black men coming back home looking for redemption. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for redemption. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to make shit right. You know what I mean? They're trying to help out. They're trying to add on. They're trying to be, they're trying to be the testaments of what change could look like. You know what I mean? Like, look at, you know what I'm saying? And we can't judge nobody. We can't judge nobody. Can't judge nobody. A lot of people that's coming home religious these days. They heavy on that Islam shit, on that little Dirk Islam shit. And they heavy on that. They give it. I gave my heart to Jesus. They heavy on the Jesus shit. You know what I'm saying? They heavy on the Jesus shit. But my generation, they coming home. A lot of people from my generation that was gone for mad long. You feel me? They coming back home. And shit, this is a perfect time to come home. You could be they got a word called entrepreneur, my nigga. Nobody was talking about entrepreneur when you niggas was out here doing crimes. You know what I'm talking about? You could come home and be a fucking trainer and be popping on TikTok doing Kegel exercises, you know, jailhouse niggas. You know what I mean? You could come home and have a cooking channel on TikTok making Jack Mac, nigga. You feel me? You could come home and twist locks. You could be a loctician, nigga. You could be a lashtician, a lash tech, nigga. You could come home and be a lash tech. You could come home and help women get rid of their fupa. There's mad shit that you could do on the comeback in this new day and age. You could come home and be a content creator. What up, Sharif? Like, what's fucking with that? You did 30 years and you could come home doing TikTok funny videos with mad neck tats. Like, you're in a new day and age. You could come home and write a book on ChatGPT and say it was your book. You could come home and start a YouTube webisode series on a shoestring budget, a fucking iPhone, and some scripts that you wrote when you was in a pokey. This is different. I never had nothing like that where you could get paid from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for one piece of content can get you paid from all of those people. And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about 5 bands and up. Facebook is giving you 5 bands a month. Instagram is giving you 5 bands a month. YouTube is giving you 5 bands a month. TikTok is giving you 5 bands a month. I know niggas is getting 40 bands, 80 bands, 100 bands. And the shit is adding up. You could make a YouTube movie about ghetto consciousness. What's popping? What's lit? Like, what's goody? You know what I'm talking about? What's good? You could be a jailhouse dude and come home and become a bartender. No, the bartender to be doing pull-ups on the bar, right? The pull-ups on the bar. Take your routine from the yard and bring it to the playground or bring it to the gym. You could be on Peloton, the bike, the Peloton bike, or you could just go live and teach people how to get abs and whatnot. It's lit. It's lit. I know somebody that got an NIL deal. They came home. They was working out. They got an NIL deal. The NIL is reserved for like college students. A nigga got an NIL deal from being ill with the workouts. And this is a jail nigga. We didn't have that coming home on parole and work release and things of that back in my days. That was not an option, bro. They was shitting on everybody with a record and whatnot. Hell to the no. But Meta and all of these companies in this new era that we're in, they don't care about none of that. You could work on Fiverr. You could work on Upwork. You could work on all of the gig platforms. You could do Uber Eats. You could drive a Uber. You could drive a Lyft. You could start truck driving, my nigga. The CDL niggas is lit. They out here making dope boy money. So what are we talking about? Don't let nobody talk about how shit is rough on them and Kamala is not helping them out or Biden. None of that shit makes any sense to people who know what they know. You could come home and do tattoos. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? You could come home to do tattoos. And then you don't have to do jailhouse tattoos. You got fucking you got the technology. You know? You got the technology. You got the up-to-date shit. So it's not that dark. It's not that hopeless for people. Your mind state has to be corrected. Your mind state has to be on a higher frequency. Your mind state has to, you got to think big. Shout out to my good brother, the brother Wall Street Trapper. I follow him on Instagram, Wall Street Trapper. You know what I mean? I believe he came home and got to it and whatnot. And, he out here doing this thing, making moves, making money, got a whole following, a whole network. You feel me? There's people in the audience right now. They got family members, they got husbands, they got BDs and whatnot. They got big brothers, they got daddies that's behind the wall. I got people, facts. We do roll call and they be in the audience like, yo, I'm locked up listening to this. We ain't judging. You know what I'm talking about? We ain't judging. You know what I mean? Like, I'm honored if I could help somebody out and they thing, man. I'm highly honored. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the move. That means we really making progress when we can help people behind the wall get it right. Let me show you some. Let's have a laughing moment.
You can blame them. I got my first supercar when I was.
All you motivational podcasters, y'all can come home and do this.
If you do not own at least 3 Ferraris, your parents failed. They failed. You can blame them. I got my first supercar when I was in pre-K. I was 4 years old driving to school in 4th gear. You think the police stopped me? My dad used to golf with the chief. Let's talk about it. What's the most expensive thing you own? And before you speak, I already got 5 of them. Say something else. I got 5 of those too. Come on. I haven't been to the movies in over 20 years. There's no need. I just pull up at the actor house, make them act the scenes out in front of me. How you think I seen Training Day? There's ways to get it. You just gotta know the ways. How many Bugattis do you have? Yeah. How many do I have? How much money do you make in an 8-hour shift? Yeah. I just made $8 million in 8 hours. Selling doorknobs on Walmart.com. How else people gonna get in their house? I'm the plug. But you don't get it.
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
Oh man. So yeah, man. We about to wrap this thing up. I know we got Melanin Mondays tomorrow. We do have Melanin Mondays tomorrow, mañana. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta get back in the lab and start cooking up for tomorrow's show. You know what I mean? So we could deliver a full plate, an entree, and whatnot for some food for thought. You know what I mean? I think inshallah, if everything works out, I'm gonna be doing another Great Fall. I think we at part 14, the Great Fall, number 14. That may be tomorrow. Don't quote me on that though. I'm gonna see. I'm waiting for some information to land in my lap. And if that happens, then we're gonna jump up with the Great Fall. But other than that, we will see you tomorrow on Melanin Mondays. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do have a goal that I want to reach, about 100K. You know what I mean? We're gonna make it there. I don't know how, but we're gonna make it there. So make sure y'all hit the subscribe and the notification. And yeah, you'll be informed when we go live tomorrow. You dig? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, our sponsor is next week. Next strong. We have a lecture coming up with the good brother Q Reeves. All right. Shout out to the good brother Q Reeves. And this is going to be a masterclass on spiritual expansion entitled Unveiling the Veil. Saturday or Saturn Day, October the 26th, 8 p.m. All right. Make sure y'all are in the building. You don't want to miss it. The information is going to be high level. Please make sure you guys do not miss this one. The link is in the bio so you could get your ticket. With that being said, love and light to the family. Peace.
Brand new purple light, friends. Brand new purple light, friends. Facts. Brand new purple light, friends. Red and blue, purple light, friends. Facts. Get to know the legend, sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. You can get to know the legend, my love. Just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes. The Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was telling land, focused on the ego. Then I opened my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah. We gon' put this shit on our back. Facts, facts. We in your city, pull up where we at. Facts. Peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light to the family. Peace, love and light to the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.